podcast.
What is going on? Section 128 LAFC. This is Los Angeles. We are here with Marvin Chavez, LAFCX, finally joining us in our podcast for 15, I think 16 episodes in, right, Eric? But it's a pleasure to have you with us, Marvin. A very exciting show for us, Eric. Thanks for always doing this with me. It's always fun. Apologize for being a little bit late. That's all on me. I have some technical things I'm working on here, but we're here. We're here to talk LAFC. That's what we do every week, and it's live at 6 p.m. And Marvin, thanks for joining us once again, buddy. Talk to us a little bit as we're getting set up here. How do you get started on just becoming an LAFC fan, and what do you do today? You're big into the online community for the club.
Yeah, mostly. Well, no, I'm actually only on X now. So, no, yeah. I mean, I've been a fan since about like 2016, 17. When all the marketing stuff started coming out, and I saw when the logo came out, I'm like, hey, that's pretty cool. I work in graphic design, so it appealed to me. And yeah, ever since then, it just caught my eye. And then I looked further into it, and I was never into MLS, to be honest. I grew up as a kid a Liga MX fan. My dad was into Club Necaxa and Liga MX. And as a kid, I grew up watching all those games and going to games. And yeah, as I got older, I looked at the Premier League and stuff like that. And the Galaxy never really caught my eye. I didn't like the branding. I didn't like the culture. It just didn't appeal to me at all. So surely enough, when I saw this, new team coming up. Same with Chivas USA. Even though I'm Liga MX, I'm like, I was a Necaxa fan. I never liked Chivas really, but yeah. And then surely enough, 2018 comes along, and I got my season tickets and been a fan since. But yeah, I was at the 3252 when it was like created, the party that was in downtown LA and stuff like that. So I've been with it since day one.
That's cool, man. Another day oneer. And, of course, we're going to have another day oneer join us here. And it's Katie. Katie's back.
Hey, Katie.
Hi, so sorry I'm late.
Rangers chair. I love your chair. It wins every time. How are you, Katie?
Yeah. I'm good. How are you guys doing?
Good. We're hanging in there. It was a crazy week. Of course, the game yesterday charged with some stuff that was extra field. We're not here to talk about that. Of course, it does resonate on what the atmosphere looks like on the stand. So I open up with my co-host, Eric Holstrom, giving you the floor, buddy. How did you see the stadium? We talked about this before the show, but how did you see the stadium in this one game before the big send-off to the FIFA Club World Cup?
Yeah, no, it was great. With everything going on in the city, the stadium I think was a little empty. I think a lot of people kind of stayed where they were. I know I had a couple buddies that didn't go down to the game just because they just didn't want to get caught up in anything, and so I think that affected the attendance. But as far as the team and the silence in the stadium from 3252 for the 90 minutes, that was a whole other thing with the atmosphere that was different for the whole thing. And then when that 90 minutes came up, you heard the roar from them, which was I'm glad it happened too, just to kind of send the boys off, because they had a good game, and they took care of what they had to do. And at the end of the day, like that's that. I wish I could have been there.
Yeah, we all wish we did, man. And that's the sentiment. And by the way, same thing for me. I take the 101 to get to the stadium, and it looked a little crazy. And out of respect for everything that's going on, I felt like staying away from a zone of whatever it's going on, conflict. It was best, But we're here to talk about the game and what happened on the field. You're all day oneers, and we're all grown up, so we can have a good conversation without going anyway sideways. Katie, I mean, I don't know if you got to watch the game or not, but the truth of the matter is that LAFC has not lost in 9 games now, which is pretty exciting. I really love that. We're sending the boys off to play Chelsea and some other big teams in style. So what do we think of this momentum? Like, a lot of people were critical of the fact that there was not a lot of wins there, but another convincing W for LAFC, regardless of circumstances outside. What do you think?
Yeah, they did a great job of pulling it together after the first 10 minutes, which was a little worrying for me. I was like, I got to be honest, if any of you guys watched it, the first 10 minutes were just so bad. Both teams, we couldn't complete a pass. We had a very terrible first touch. And I thought to myself, oh my God, is this the team that's going to go play against Chelsea in a week? Very terrifying to me. But then after that, they pulled it together and did what they needed to do. And I was really proud of the fact that they were able to go down a goal and then come back and win the game, which is something that they didn't used to be able to do in our past. So it was excellent to see. Having Giroud put that last goal in obviously shuts my mouth up. So I'm happy for him. Stoked for Bawanga getting another goal. I think he has 8 on the season now. And he's obviously out of his little funkety funk that he was in for quite a while. And who's the other one we got that scored for us? Oh my God, Eddie Segura, the one and only.
Baby.
The people are shitting on Eddie all year, and then he comes in with a nice, beautiful header. And let me tell you, I am a very pro Eddie person, very pro Hollingshead, so it hurts me deeply when people talk smack about them. But I'm so happy and proud of him. So good overall from me. But just wanted to say they're playing against a very bad team. I mean, SKC was abysmal yesterday. I didn't see anything positive other than that first goal. I was like, holy man, this team they're hurting. So I'll leave it there.
Marvin,
yeah.
Yeah, no, it's great insight, and I appreciate you joining us. I know you had your pets had an accident, your husband's away, and your kids are your kids. So, like, the fact that you're here, it's either therapy or I appreciate you this much. But you know what I mean, Katie? But look, Marvin, the one thing I wanted to comment on is the starting lineup for LAFC, a slightly rotated starting 11 for us. We had Marlon started, and we know he's kind of a guy that we're observing closely at this point because we don't know if he's going to be back or not because of the contract situation. And then Yeboah also makes the start. I have it here for us. There you go. Palencia, Marlon, Hollins, that a very, very rotated defense. What did you think of the starting 11 for Mr. Cherundolo?
You know, I kind of expected this lineup. I think I did a prediction on it. I thought maybe we're starting Giroud because he really wanted to play versus Chelsea. He's been doing pretty well as a super sub, but I also wouldn't, I wasn't going to be surprised if Bobasi was going to start instead. So, I was between Bobasi and Giroud starting, and then Yeboah was not surprising because obviously Martinez and Ordaz are out, and then Under is on injury. So I definitely expected Yeboah to take the right wing, and then obviously Marlon and Marlon was substituting Long. I wasn't sure if that was going to happen. I thought we were still going to start Long because, for sure, I'm pretty sure we're going to start him versus Chelsea. So yes, I thought we would get him on the field. But that didn't happen. I don't know if they're trying to rest him some more from a minor injury, or if they're trying to see who's going to start with Long. Is it Marlon or Segura? But at this point, I'm pretty sure it's going to be Segura. He's actually been doing pretty well, despite criticism. And, earlier in the season, even, not too long ago, we were still criticizing some of his work. But I think he's been doing a lot better. I think, while I might criticize him a little bit from time to time, I'm actually still a fan of Eddie. I think for the price that what he offers, he's an extremely high value player. For somebody on his salary at his talent level is very uncommon in MLS. So I think it was smart of the front office to keep him. I'm actually surprised how much they're utilizing him. Chanel keeps coming in and out, but sometimes he's on the bench a lot, and you're just like, is he recovered? Is he not recovered? Because everybody really wants to see Long and Chanel, right? And then Marlon fighting for that spot. nobody expected Segura. Everybody thought Segura would be fourth string, as depth. But to see him rise to the occasion, even if it took him, a quarter of the season, he's done very well over time. So I have nothing but praise for Eddie at the moment. But I will say, I still wouldn't start him if we could get somebody like Chanel up to form. So I love him. I still think he's earned himself a higher pecking order from fourth to third, but I still think it has to be between Marlon or Chanel. But I'm happy
look,
to
Eric,
have him while they get back in form.
I was going to ask you, Eric, because you've seen Steady Eddie play as long as we all have, and like he was one of our best center backs before he got injured, and he looks like he's starting to return to that form. We'll put Marlins aside because I think it's a contract value kind of thing. There's so much into play there, but talk about that kind of rise from this guy that like stays with LAFC, gets rehab from a couple injuries, and scores his first goal now in 4 seasons. So. Your thoughts on Steady Eddie?
Yeah, before the injury, he was one of and regarded generally as one of the best center backs in the MLS, along when he was paired up with Walker Zimmerman. And I think it was really class in the club to stick with him for so long when they didn't. I mean, I think everybody at one point, when he was out for 2 years, kind of wrote him off as like a career-ending injury, something he was never going to come back from. And then he came out of contract, and the club basically signed him for a very low contract and just kept him rehabbing. And he played. And I remember like end of last season, he would come out and he looked like he belonged on LAFC too. I think he even played some games there. And then even like the beginning of the preseason, he still wasn't. He was really shaky on defense, made a lot of mistakes. But you would point out last February, and I remember that he was still looked like one of the best passers in our back line. He was defensively a liability at times, but his distribution is fantastic. And his defending, I think, has gotten back up pretty close to where it was in 2019 before he got injured. So I definitely think he's the third on the spot. I got to talk about Marlon as well, because I'm very high on Marlon. I have been. Marlon is another guy coming off of injuries, and similar thing. Like as we've said before, he is only here because he failed a physical in the Middle East, and before that, he failed a physical in Premier League. I believe, or Leeds. They might have been Championship, but regardless, this is a guy that is good enough to be playing in the upper levels of the Premier League, and I think we've seen it in flashes. But the question is, can he stay healthy? And I think he played that game because he's going to get some minutes in the Club World Cup. The games are pretty close together. And I think with our starting midfield and basically our starting back line and him, it gave him a little more opportunity to gel with everybody else on the line. I'm pretty sure Long will start against Chelsea. It's possible they go with Marlon over Segura. Marlon's going to give them more physicality. And as he said with contracts, Marlon's on a $1.2 million contract for us as well. He's not a cheap player. Yeah. So
I was going to ask you, would you renew him come June?
I would personally, yes, because I love him. And I think that, like Segura, he's not even close to where his peak is. He's 29 years old. He's not that old, especially for a center back. Center backs tend to be a little more advanced in their career before they really start playing good. It's a hard position for a young player because there's so much intelligence needed. So, no, with me, I would totally keep Marlon because I think the potential on him, like we haven't even scratched the surface of what he's capable of.
I agree with that, man. He's a guy that we should think about it for the future because, like a lot of these guys, if you look at the end of the year decisions, there's going to be a lot of people that are going to be on their contract. And he could be very easily one of the better center backs in this league. The problem always been physical with him, but, he's been sustaining pretty well. Can he play 90? We don't know, but Aaron Long cannot play sometimes 90. He had to be substituted last game. So I'm excited to see what happened with Marlon. We've been talking to people close to Marlon, and what we can tell you about this is that they don't want us to talk about it because they're negotiating, right? So if you're hearing the show, that little bit that we know that they want us to just remain quiet while negotiations go through. So we don't know, and that's all we know.
I personally think they would only keep him if he's willing to negotiate around the 700,000 to 800,000 salary. I don't know if he's proved himself to be a 1.2 million player yet.
have
Yeah,
to
no, and
say
he
that I
doesn't
was
need to
shocked at
be. And
1.2.
correct.
Sorry.
And I think there's a personal aspect of Marlon. He seems to be very comfortable here. The team is rehabbing him well as an athlete. It would be silly for him to go unless, of course, and this is what we never know. There might be interest from someone else. And that's always the other side. We just never know who's interested in the athlete and if it makes sense to move it. But look, guys.
What's Katie? What's your take on Marlon?
Yeah, Katie, please. Katie, please. Talk.
Honestly, I feel like he hasn't played all that much. And so I really, obviously I think he's a very strong, athletic person back there. And that's needed back there. But since he has been hurt and everything, but when you just threw out the 1.2, I'm shocked that that's something that we're paying for a player that is hardly started and hardly put in the minutes for us. I don't know that we would pay that for anybody that wasn't playing 90 minutes almost every game. So that's a shocking thing to me. And if I was the club, I would not be paying that for Marlon. That's just not something I would think that would be logical.
And we're back at Steady Eddie, which keeps beating him to this position, which puts us in this awkward situation to discuss it. Go ahead and finish your thought.
Oh no, I just think that I would say if he can stay healthy and they are willing to, give him the opportunity to get as many minutes with us as possible to build him up, then yeah, maybe he is worth 1.2. But at the rate that they're putting him in now, I'm not sold on that fact. And they could bring in some other center backs. We have money now. So who knows?
I feel like
I'm not sold either, and we're from the same country. So if y'all think I protect Brazilians and I want Brazilians to be in this roster, I'm not sold. If he wants to stay, he probably needs to play ball and lower his salary requirements a little bit because maybe he doesn't have that many options outside that. But look, guys, let's talk about this game real quick because it is meaningful. LAFC falls behind again, and our repertoire when falling behind has not been great, except for the last two games where Adolo found answers, guys. So I want to ask particularly Eric about this particular trend that we're seeing here where LAFC is falling behind in the beginning of games and is having to come out of some sort of, some sort of hole. It may not be as easy against the Chelsea. That might lead to a horrible result for those games. So what did you think of the start? As Katie said, it was the horrible 10 minutes. I'm not going to say I didn't watch the 90 minutes and went to the extended one, but, that's why it's good to sometimes not watch it live. But what did you think of the game in terms of the fact that LAFC goes behind in the beginning once again?
Well, it was an understatement. I'm not sure if they'll be able to come back against Chelsea. They'll definitely not be able to come back against Chelsea if they go down. If they play a first 10 minutes like that, they're going to be down by 2 goals. Easy, And so this is the thing. It's a slow start is concerning. They have been able to rally back. I mean, they came back against a very good Club America team after going down. That's no easy task. They came back against Montreal, which is a terrible team, and they came back against Kansas City, which is a terrible team. And after that 10 minutes, LAFC had them pretty outclassed. I mean, I think that game could have been 5-1, honestly. But the 3-1 is great. It's good to see. One of my favorite things about that was Bouanga had 2 assists along with the goal. I think with the last goal to Giroud, Bouanga almost looked happier than Giroud did about that goal. And you could tell the team's been trying to feed him and kind of get through this. So you could tell the whole team loved it. The fans loved it. Otherwise, on attack, we just kind of moved the ball around a lot. A lot of crossing. I noticed, especially in the last 30 minutes of the first half, a lot of crossing. And we seem to cross the ball a lot when Giroud is on the bench. And then when Giroud comes in, we suddenly aren't crossing the ball. And I don't know if that's just the way other teams are playing us or what the deal is with that. But it's something I've noticed. But at the end of the day, we went through this on a high note. But this team, I mean, they haven't had a strong start out of the gate in a game. And how many games now? Like all of them almost, it seems.
Right?
Like we haven't jumped out to any quick leads or anything like that. And so this is my big worry going into the Club World Cup is that, this team cannot wait 15 minutes to get off the bus into the game, or they're going to get punished against teams that they will not be able to recover from, unlike Sporting Kansas City.
Right, Marvin. And that's exactly my concern. Suddenly, you come in against a team like Chelsea, and these guys might be ready to go. So I'm concerned with that sort of posture, I want to call it, for the first 15 minutes. Are you the aggressor? And maybe Dolo told him something. Hey, we're kind of running out of gas at the end of the game. So for the first 15 minutes, just play chill and let the other team work the ball so we can be effective in the last 75. I mean, any thoughts on that? And then I want your thoughts also on Ryan Hollings, that another player that came in and keeps beating the player, that is above him money wise. So two things for you to talk about. The last thing that Eric talked about, and then Ryan Hollins had just being such a consistent cat for us, and playing for, pennies.
Are you asking me? Sorry.
Oh, yes, Marvin.
Oh, okay.
So to you.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Are you asking me specifically about Hollingshead and Segura? Or
Yeah, I just meant, first off, what's going on, the fact that we're falling behind on these games, right? So I'm just worried that we keep coming back. So that's just for Eric's point.
Got it.
What's going there? So let's start with that. Just is this a concern? Like, we keep coming back, but it looks like with a lesser team, with a better team like Chelsea, this may not be so easy.
I think on the contrary, it's actually good. I'm not concerned at all. I think what fans have been asking for is less conservative soccer. And, LAFC has always been about attacking stylish soccer. And it felt like we lost that essence, early in the season. It was very different. It feels like we just became a very, I wouldn't use the word scared, but conservative is a good word. Like, he doesn't want to concede as much. He's very defensive. And I think we're starting to see a pullback from that. There was a lot of complaints from fans about that. And, it was a good opportunity because we had Montreal and SKC. What better teams to, really come out and attack than, lower league teams, and unfortunately that's going to bite you in the ass sometimes, and they were not being clinical enough and putting in the first goal. But I think it's worth the risk. I think we need to start risking and playing riskier soccer, because conservative soccer, nobody likes. It's boring. And then we end up losing sometimes. And it's like, why do we even play that way? Like, might as well go balls out. Fans don't get that pissed when we lose, but we're playing exciting soccer and we're giving everything. If we lose 2-3, we won't be that mad. Of course, we're not happy because everybody wants a win, or at least, the very least, a tie. But what you're going to get the most complaints about is when when we start playing very conservative, we get ties and losses. So that was starting to happen a lot, and we're starting to see a pushback. But I think we're going to see a reversal of that once we start playing teams. Obviously, like Chelsea, we can't start being very attacking. We're going to have to start going back. But that's a whole different topic. We'll talk about Chelsea later.
We will, and you're right, because I don't know what to even expect about this style of soccer that we're seeing in this particular tournament, Ryan. That's there's a big unknown there. But my second question, and then I want to go quickly around the room here. It's about Ryan Hollingshead. I think he's probably the most underrated player we've had in the U.S. soccer system. He fell off the system because of an injury, and nobody ever called him up again. And I keep seeing the United States men's national team just throw egg after egg. And I'm like, I think Ryan Hollingshead would fit the team. And I know it's an unpopular opinion, but Eric and Katie, please tell me, I'm not crazy, because he's been such a consistent guy, beating guys beyond him in the position. Eric, start with you, buddy. Ryan Hollingshead, make his case once again. What's the ceiling with this guy? He never ages.
Yeah. No, I've heard him on some announcements. I think maybe even Taylor Twellman said that he's probably the best U.S. player that's never gotten a call up. And I have to agree with that. It totally. And I'm honestly watching the national team. I'm not really that much of a fan of it. I prefer LAFC. And if he did get called up to the team, I'd probably be upset because I want him to play for the club and get some points. No, but that's me. I know for him, he would be honored to do it. He deserves it. But so of course he should play there because the team's trash.
It should have sale for him. It's
what's there to lose?
The injustice, right?
Win. So
it's about the injustice. I get it, and I just bring it up because as an LAFC fan, we had to endure guys that Reggie Cannon, just people that just shouldn't have been there. And he never got DeAndre Yedley. And here's this dude that if he performs for LAFC, he's the engine. Like he's the perfect. He's Dolo Ball, right, Katie? Like when he scores, when he's up there, when he's participating in the offense, the team flourishes.
He is. I think if you could have 4 or 5 players like him on your team with one DP, you're pretty set in terms of what you're going to produce in MLS, I think, because he is the most hardworking. He's consistent. He is doing so much off the ball movement. He's making the runs, and he's just doing incredible things on top of scoring so much. He's I think, the best scoring defender, except for maybe 1 goal down. So he's given this team everything. On top of that, he's like the type of guy you want in the locker room. Everybody loves him. He is the man. He's the mustache. He is the dude. And we're stoked at LAFC to have that guy. And same with Eddie, like just on the Eddie front, that guy is the nicest, raddest human ever. And so like these two, they bring so much more than what they're bringing on the field. But for Ryan Hollingshead, that man should have been on the USM national team. That's an affront to U.S. soccer, not bringing him. And I'm just grateful that we've had him for as long as we've had.
It's been the steal of this. Like if you, Marvin, I think you became LAFCX right as what we believe it was LAFC 2.0 was born. When JT just went on a rampage and he got Ilya and some of these guys, right? So looking back, right, and as good as everybody that he brought in has been, has anyone been more impactful than Ryan Hollingshead, right, over these years?
Speaking of the players that he brought in 2.0, what do we have? Like Escobar, Acosta, Ilya, Hollingshead. He's the only one left, right? But also, even looking at their form now on other teams, I would say he's still the most consistent and impactful player. And I was thinking going into the season that Hollingshead was going to start aging and showing it this season. He has proved me wrong. He's been incredible still, very consistent.
Marvin.
He's such a good defender. But not playing devil's advocate here, but I do wish though we saw more Smolyakov. I want to see more Smolyakov. I want his pace. That banger of a goal. Was it the Open Cup? I forget, but he had a banger goal. I want to see more of that, and I feel like we need to risk a little more. I'm not like for starting all the youth all the time. That you won't catch me asking for that all the time, but I feel like Smolyakov being an under 22, having that amount of skill deserves more chances. And I love Hollingshead, and you won't hear me complain about him starting, but I feel like we do need to give Smolyakov more chances.
To me, that's one guy that needs more opportunities, but it's the same thing that's happened with guys in other years. We bring them in expecting them to earn the position, and it doesn't happen because
Palacios and Jordan Harvey. I mean, the same thing with Palacios.
It's the same thing.
The 19, like Palacios came in and Jordan Harvey, like he just was ageless and he just didn't let Palacios beat him to the position. It took him almost to the very end of the season for Palacios to start beating him. And I think with Smolyakov, it'll be the same. Hollingshead might hold off this year, but Artem does. He needs to beat him on the field, and he just hasn't beaten the mustache yet, I think.
Yeah, I remember we weren't too convinced about Palacios in the very beginning, He was a little shaky, especially in defense, right? But we saw the pace, we saw the dribble. But I'm really hoping, I think you're right, Eric. I really hope we start seeing him more towards the end of the season. And then maybe next season we see him like another Cheeky where he really starts coming in and being the starter.
He will. Palacios' contract's up in the end of the year, and I'm guaranteeing that we're going to make every effort to renew a guy like him. Where else would he go? And we wouldn't have let him go. So hopefully we'll have these guys back. And yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happened to Sir Ryan Hollingshead. I have a lot of respect for him on and off the field, what he brings to this club. A true LAFC, a true Los Angeles man, went to UCLA, has roots here, and sort of solidified himself as one of the greatest LAFC players. So kudos to him. But guys, it doesn't happen without him getting on the scoreboard and being insane. So, of course, Denis Bouanga had to decide the game for us. What a stat sheet for him. He has the penalty kick, but 2 assists, 9 shots. He's certainly trying to prove something. The question is almost like, how long can we keep this guy here, right? Katie, I'll go to you on this one. Any thoughts on our man? Your walking background. I don't see it right now.
Yeah, no
right?
shirtless Bouanga.
But
listen, the shirtless Bouanga is always in my heart.
Between him without a shirt and Giroud, I think it was Marvin that had a comment like, "Hey, man, like, could you guys just tone it down? Like, we all have lives here, and this is making it hard on us." But
yeah,
what did you think of our boy?
He is. First of all, let's talk about that new hairdo.
Oh yeah.
Hubba, yeah. He had actually matching cornrows with Eddie. They got the cornrows. They go into the bun in the back. I was like, dang, son.
That.
I loved him. So yes, obviously, other than how good he looks, he plays insane football, and he is the best on our team. We're so fortunate to have him. Without him, I don't know what LAFC would be at this point. Yes, we'd be struggling, but he never disappoints. He was taking on 1-on-1s, 3-on-1s, 4-on-1s on every game. And he just, I think he finds it very fun to just take on as many players as he can to beat them. And he does it successfully. And he's an amazing person to watch. His athleticism is bar none to anybody else in this league. He just doesn't get tired. He never gets subbed out. The guy brings so much to this team because no other player, people get hurt. People get tired. This guy is like a machine who just never stops. And he's amazing. So yeah, love him.
Eric, add to the party, add to the Bouanga party. Is this man... Okay, I gotta ask you hard questions. Well, like, how long do we have of the Bouanga show in LA? And then I have to hint at where does he rank to you against Carlos, right? Because his stats are starting to add up, and he's looking better than anyone in this league.
Yeah, so Carlos, I don't think is ever going to be knocked off the top of that mountain anytime soon. I love Bouanga. I don't think he's the guy to do it. And it's not anything against Bouanga. It's more to do with how great Carlos is. Like, this is the house that Carlos built, this team, and like, how do you go past that? Now, Bouanga, he is signed through 2027 with a team option to 2028. I said last season that the most trade value we're ever going to get out of him was this last offseason. I think Tigres offered like 12 or 15 million for him. I don't think we get that for him now. And at this point, I almost think like just ride it out. Like, at this point, I think this guy almost deserves another 3 years here. And I think he's probably worth more to us than he's going to be to anybody else that can get that. So he's kind of won me over a little more this year. And I can see that his legendary status is going to be there. And he is going to be a very close number 2 to Carlos Vela. And that's saying something, So if we didn't have Denis, just like Katie said, like, we would be in huge trouble. We would probably be sitting near the bottom of the table. And how are we going to replace this guy? Like, I don't see anybody replacing him. Even if we got another DP, like, I just don't see them replacing him. And he's really been heating up lately, and hopefully he's heating up at the right time, because he's going to have it. He can be big game Bouanga, and he's going to have the biggest games of his career coming up.
Marvin, he just called him big game Bouanga. And again, I'm not trying to exploit this whole Carlos Vela debate, and I know what he means for this club. But ever since we've signed Denis, he's been instrumental for us in the conquest that we have. He was the one that scored in Portland for us to seal the Supporters Shield. He was instrumental in the playoffs in 2022 when we won the MLS Cup. Carlos Vela had a really tough playoff run. So, how does Bouanga rank to you in greatness for this club? Because I'm starting to notice greatness here, and most people are like, Eric, you know what? Never going to be as good as Carlos. I'm done with that argument. And I'm just like, is this the right way to do about this guy?
Well, I think it's a nuanced type of like argument. Like for me, it's like Eric said, it's the house. LAFC is the house that Vela built, and you will always respect him the most because of that. If he was just a random player,
Okay.
he wouldn't have so much respect. It's, you know, that he broke all the MLS records. He got us the MLS Cup, and on top of that, he started all of this. He got so much of our fandom. He pulled in so many Latinos into the community and put them
Sure.
in, you know, made them LAFC fans. He's just such an impactful player. But you putting that aside, if you're talking about like who is the most legendary, who is the most, you know, versus who's the most impactful, I would say Boanga takes it. Boanga has been the most impactful. You know, Carlos Vela in the 2019 season, if his best season ever, if he would have gone as the cup then, this would be a different conversation. But
Mhm.
it needs to be kind of a mix of that, in my opinion.
Mhm.
For me, Carlos Vela will
That's a very
always
good
be
point.
the number one player, LAFC player. But
Mhm.
if you're talking about like who has been the most impactful, I'll probably say Boanga.
Look, I love this argument because we don't have to rank these guys, and that was my argument. Sometimes Messi, you know, there's the intangibles, and Carlos Vela has so many intangibles that he's brought to this club that it's unfair to compare with the club with a guy that you know is at the top of his game at the moment, right? He's like physically fit, he's at the top. So I agree with you guys, and I guess as fans and as members of the media, we just got to appreciate the fact that LAFC, in a very short period of time in this league, has had two captivating players like that. You know what I mean? And that's why we are where we are, and our rivals are not. And I think that goes back to JT and everything he's built with these guys. And you know, one of the biggest gambles he's done, Katie, has been bringing Olivier Giroud over, right? And now it seems like he's starting to turn it around a little bit as the super sub. So let's talk Giroud a little bit. Giroud comes back, now becomes this sort of sub guy, like the Gareth Bale role, we want to call it. Gets another goal. What do you think of him at the current moment with LAFC? Would you actually keep him around, or would you try to deal him in this particular window that we have coming up? Katie,
It's really hard for me to say.
I always give you the hard one, by the way.
Well, this one's hard because he hasn't produced so much like that we needed him to, but I do see him in these little spots where he is starting to show his quality. Like he did an excellent pass yesterday that was just dime right through the middle for someone, and so it is there. But whether or not I think like I don't think we need to terminate him early. Like I guess if he's going to continue to show up as a super sub and do these things, I'm okay with that. But I don't know how he's gonna really help us too much in these in this World Cup, Club World Cup. I don't know. I think he can be helpful for the rest of the MLS year, but he looks old. I mean, he physically watching him run is it looks comical to me. He looks like he's dragging some stuff around, like some cement boots. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, I love to see it, but you definitely see a 38-year-old man out there. So, you know, I don't fault him. I'm way older than him. So, but it's, you know, you want your number 9 to be very impactful. So that's where I stand on
Just let it
that.
ride. I love that. You know, you let it ride, let it finish the year. He might be productive in some games, comes off the bench. You know, we always had an open DP anyway, so we can still work really well with other two spots here. So I don't have a problem with that, and I think it's, you know, it might as well let it run its course more than anything. I think it's good. But look, before we move on from this game and talk a little bit about the FIFA World Cup, I'll go to you, Eric, as far as Chirundula goes, because LAFC is unbeaten in 9, and we now seen the team comes back from some holes with some adjustments. You know, now realizing that maybe you need your best 11 to play the last 30 minutes, not the first. What do you think of Chirundula's adjustments over this, you know, this period of time where we've been unbeaten now for what, a month and a half or something like that?
Yeah, I mean it's his adjustments have been hit or miss for me. I mean, there were games. I think the Montreal game he made some good moves, but a lot of it is just the team not performing so much. If you look at the Club America game, I mean, that was probably some of his best game management he's done. The Kansas City game, I think more of that game was load management of guys and resting guys than it was tactical, especially with international duty and guys gone. So I don't think that game there's a ton of tactics there. So I'm really just kind of playing off the Club America game. And if this is how he needs to operate, and this is something I've thought of as well, with MLS, with so much firepower in the front and so much lack of spending in the back lines, every team is incentivized basically to put their foot on the gas the entire time and not let up. You know, got people that want to bunker, you're just going to be systemically flawed because you're going to have $400,000 guys a year defending against guys who are $1.5 to $4 million a year. And it's just too much of a mismatch. So I think Cherundolo, with more of his entire career in Germany, he sees the tactics of grinding out games defensively. And due to the roster construction, it's just really not possible here. So I think that's an area that his tactics, I think, haven't been so good. And like Marvin said before, you know, he started putting the foot in the gas more, which is what the fans want. And we see a little better results. I do think conversely that against a team like Club America that is on paper, like the way Cherundolo plays favors a weaker team against a stronger team. And LAFC is just a stronger team than most MLS teams. But Club World Cup, we're a weaker team then. So I want to be optimistic that Cherundolo's tactics are actually going to do better for this the next upcoming games than they would against MLS opponents. And at the end of the day, I've been pretty dolo out all year, especially with him leaving. But he's earned, without victory against America, has earned my criticism to stop until the end of the season and let him ride it out. So, you know, I'm optimistic about Cherundolo finishing out this season well.
Let's do it, man. And I think that's the way to do it. If the United States men's national team does not take him beforehand, and I really think there's a chance if things don't go well with Pochettino. You know what? Before we move on, let's watch this Steady Eddie goal across from the knee. You know, he's now taking corners perfectly then. So let's watch this go real quick. Oh, no, I'm not. I messed it up. Sorry, guys. Cornrow Bandits.
Cornrow Huggies.
They planned that kick beforehand. They planned that.
All right. Yeah. Very lo-fi kind of video here, but I just wanted to show you because that was pretty dope. LAFC connecting on that corner here and
I gotta go.
get the win 3-1.
All right, Katie.
I'm so sorry, guys.
No,
appreciate it, Katie.
You got soccer duty with the kids, so
Katie's got some mom duties. She told us about it, and we always appreciate you coming in, and talking to us, and giving you your opinions. But
great discussion today. Thank you, Marvin. Appreciate it.
Yeah,
thank you, gentlemen. Bye.
Yes, of course. Well, yeah, we're almost at the end here. We did start a little bit late, so I appreciate if you guys are sticking around because we do want to talk about the upcoming schedule for LAFC, which includes 3 games for this crazy crash for grab, whatever you want to call it, FIFA Club World Cup tournament. I think a lot of people are very disappointed that John Thornton did not move on this window, this special window for the tournament. And I'm not surprised because of a couple of things. I'll hold it to myself. Eric, are you surprised that LAFC has not had yet, a solid name or anything that they're signing for this special window that was open for the tournament?
No, I'm not surprised, but to be fair, I'm not really surprised either way. I think I pretty passionately laid out last show that, what Abel Ferreira said at Palmeiras going into this is that he didn't really want to bring in any big name mercenaries because what does this say to the players that earn their way into this tournament? And so to go out and so let's say they go grab Thomas Muller for this, and it means that all of a sudden Nathan Ordaz is sitting on the bench. It's like with everything that he's done to earn his way there this season, to me, I think it would feel like a bit of a betrayal, and just it wouldn't feel right to me. So I think like we had all the Ronaldo rumors, which seems like he's at El Nasser. If something like that materializes, I think that's a little bit different. Like that's the opportunistic like Gareth Bale was. But I thought with Under, when he went out injured and he was kind of making this motion with his leg, it looks like he pulled his hamstring. And so I figure that he's probably not going to play through his loan. So if they would have sent him back early and picked somebody up, I could have seen that happening. But I also don't think that they want to make a DP move with 3 games in mind and then kind of get stuck with some baggage of somebody they maybe didn't necessarily want long term. So anyways, basically, I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised we didn't make a move. I wouldn't have been surprised if we made an opportunistic move, but I think just nothing came up. And so this is how we're rolling. And I'm happy to see Nathan Ordaz start against Chelsea personally. Like I will love that.
I mean, he's conquering a lot of space within the CONCACAF world, and El Salvador media is all over this guy. Marvin, did you have any different expectations that we would be coming in off the gates and then signing some big names? It's just not how John Thorne operates. That's all what we want, right? But are you disappointed at all that we're not seeing any big names at the midnight hour of the special window transfer for the World Cup?
I'm not taking it as we didn't sign anyone. So, like, they're still today, and the announcement could come tomorrow,
look at
or it
you.
could come Wednesday.
Okay.
So, I'm not going to judge that quite yet. But if you were to tell me for sure we're not signing someone, I'd be extremely disappointed because it's a window, it's a free window, and it's free money. We got $750,000 in GAM allocated, right? We converted from the $10 million prize pool. We got $750,000 in GAM allocated. All 3 teams did. To not use that would be like a tremendous loss. So I think it needs to be used. Whether we use that player a lot or not, I'm not quite sure about that. That's up to Chirundolo. But I feel like we do have to take advantage of the window and the money. And I really hope they do that. I'm an aggressive.
Maybe they will use it for Marlon, right?
Marvin,
that would be a good one.
Yeah. Marvin, how would you feel though the way it all works if they bank that for next season and they make like a big push for their
roll the GAM, baby?
I don't know if they'll allow you to roll the GAM because it seems like it's specific to this window. I don't know. Maybe you're right.
No, TAM rolls over, GAM doesn't roll over, and it's target out TAM. TAM rolls over 100%.
Yeah, but I thought they got GAM.
I would pay Marlon with this money since he's just a good depth player for us, and he's here.
I mean, I again, and I've expressed this on X. I'm an aggressive type of tactics guy. I would do a lot of stuff. I would sell Giroud. I would buy out his contract. I would get a new DP and all that. I'm not saying bench Ordaz, bench Martinez. I'm not saying that. I'm saying get the players. You have a special window. Do some magic. Get the players on the roster and make some big moves. I agree with Eric where he, the other players earn their spot and maybe they do deserve a lot of time at the Club World Cup, but I also think that there's a special window and, this is a very, very big privilege. Only 3 teams are getting this type of privilege. So I think to waste that would be a tremendous loss in my opinion. And I still don't think JT did it. I think I'm waiting for an announcement. I think he's just been like, Apple and just like everything very tightly secret. I'm hoping. I don't know.
I don't know either, guys. I mean, I think JT is a very methodical person. He's been operating in this like very tight cap space for so long and done so well with it that to criticize this aspect and to do something that doesn't have like a lot of method to it or it didn't just presented itself like Gareth Bale did for him. I'm a little bit with Eric on this one. I think being pragmatic in our windows has proven to be a good thing. Look at Carson. Look at the teams that spend big and fast. They're all kind of reeling a little bit. And meanwhile, Hollingshead seems better than Jordi Alba. You know what I'm saying? And this is the kind of guy that we need. Raposo, has gone back from injuries and has now picked up 2 caps for us. And he's been a good depth player. He's not a bad midfielder. Did really good at Vancouver. So, I mean, I think we might just be happy with Raposo. These guys just doing well for us. But, It is what it is, guys. So, look, we have a game to play on a Monday. So I was telling Eric, should we do like a live thing where, we just, instead of having the show, we just watch the game and have the show while having the game on? Because I've never done it, but it's just so organic that this game is going to happen on Monday against Chelsea. So maybe we'll do something like this if we can get the schedules to work. But, let's talk a little bit about what's going on with our next game. Now, we take a break from Major League Soccer, and we're currently doing really well there. We're looking good. I don't know what that means, but, we're definitely at the top of the conference. And now we have to play Chelsea and Tunis. And the one you're going to, baby, Flamengo. So the question is simple. Can we get 5 points out of the group? All right. I'll start with you. I put that one out for you guys in the pregame, so maybe you thought about it. Can we get 5 points out of these 3 games out of 9? Eric.
5 points will take nothing short of an absolute miracle.
At least 5, né?
Yeah, five. I mean, 5 is so out there. Like even four is going to be extremely difficult. And I say this as somebody that my perspective is watching a lot of Brazilian soccer and watching Club World Cup, because Palmeiras is in a few years and it's a great tournament. And when you see Libertadores champion Palmeiras or Flamengo, when they would play at Chelsea, they don't even play Chelsea starters. Chelsea plays reserves against, they'll play a half-rotated team, some starters and some reserves against the biggest South American clubs, and usually handle them still. They'll hand them like a 2-1 defeat really regularly. So I think, if you look at Chelsea, you can probably pick out 2 or 3 players on that team. You can probably pick out close to their entire 11 that make more money than our entire roster. Okay. If you can probably pick out 1 or 2 of their their reserves that make the entire money of our roster. So Chelsea, the only way we steal a point from there is if they come in overconfident and they play a bunch of their reserves and we get lucky, but I think we're going to see a lot of starters on Chelsea. They might rest some people because they'll have Flamengo second, and we'll see. But even that, like I said, they're so deep that I don't think they're concerned. Against Flamengo is a team that is going to need to beat all of us. And, the Mundial is bigger than Libertadores down there. So yes, we're gonna see a Flamengo that's absolutely going for our throat. And, if we play a game like we played against Club America that was tactically perfect and executed, it is possible to pull a draw against Flamengo. I think 4 points is possible, but we're huge dogs in that. We should absolutely get 3 points. If we get 4 points, I will be beyond proud of our guys, even if that doesn't get them through. If we get 5 points, I will have no idea how that happened. I mean, so that's basically.
Well, I tell you why, we beat Tunis and we get a tie against the 2 other teams. That's how it would happen to me. So, Marvin, any chance of this happening? What are your prognostic of LAFC in this Group D here with Flamengo, the Tunis game in Nashville, and Chelsea?
Oh, I think we're gonna get. I'm sorry, I'm not gonna predict how many points we're gonna get, but I feel like if we are best case scenario, it's 4 or 6, right?
Come on.
We could probably beat Tunisia. I don't know. I don't know them too well, but that's my assumption and that's my hope. Hopefully we get a tie versus Flamengo. That's my hope.
Okay.
That's my bet. That's my biggest hope. Obviously, I feel like a win over Flamengo would be insane. I would be like, what the fuck? Sorry, could I say that?
Yeah, you can. Yeah, no, I'd be what the fuck too. But I'll be there for that.
Because Eric's going to that. I'm on the fence as usual, because that's why.
I honestly think we're going to probably lose Flamengo, but I would love a tie.
Okay.
So I'm with the 4 and 4 points. Hopeful. Most likely we'll probably get 3. Hopefully, I don't know.
Which means you don't believe we'll get.
Chelsea's out of the question. I don't see a tie. I'm
that's
just
a loss.
We don't
That's
get humiliated.
So L, W, and maybe a draw. So you're thinking 4 points.
I'm hoping
4 points is realistic. That's why I put the point. That's why I made the question 5, because I think asking for 5 points is believing in that the team's in the right course and can overcome or do better than most people think that they'll do, right? And it seems like neither of you believe this is feasible given salary restrictions in MLS and the fact that we have who we have and what we're doing. So I don't know. I think it's possible. I think it's very possible. I think we will win against Tunisia, the Tunis team. And Flamengo is not that great and may be distracted by other tournaments and may not take it as seriously as we think they may be. They might be thinking this is, more of a friendly match. So, I can see 2 wins in a draw or 2 wins in a loss, and LAFC coming out of this group with 6 points as the dark horse. So that's my prediction.
Flamengo just beat Fortaleza 5-0.
I don't care. That's Fortaleza, man. You know what? You know who Fortaleza has? Fortaleza has a bunch of players from MLS. They have a recycled MLS manager. MLS front office guy that was at the Earthquakes, got kicked out of there, and now he's running Fortaleza. So I love that guy, but I don't think they have enough to beat. I don't think none of them have enough to beat LAFC. Maybe.
Ooh, okay.
We'll see, man. It's exciting.
No,
I'm so happy you're there. I have to go, man. I have to go on
Flamengo. It's not impossible. We can get a result against Flamengo. Like this is the only game, But we need to play perfect, and as well as I do, Flamengo can pull a choke job. They pull choke jobs all the time, But where they'll just have a weird result, and it could happen.
Oh, and that's the point. Now they have Jorginho, which is coming in, but it's a new player. You just signed that because they're trying to do something. Brazil's the it place to go. You know what I mean? Like nobody's like, we're not on the news about anything all the time. The government there is a little bit more lenient, and athletes are taking notice, so they're going there, right? Versus the United States, it may not be an appealing of a place to come to. And MLS has its struggles of its own. So it's interesting to see Brazil always in the conversation with the teams like Flamengo, teams like Eric and I have been following on the side here, and I've been able to bring in the conversation of LAFC. But here we are discussing a tournament that will have both of those teams. And Eric will be there to document everything and tell us everything, how everything's going to happen, man. But hey, I appreciate you guys doing that because, look, I agree. I think 5 points is the goal. If you can tell yourself you did that, that means you did something that no one expected, including insiders from LAFC. So I think that's always going to be what Dolo should be telling these guys. Guys, we have to win a game. Get lucky with a second. Win a game and get lucky with a second, which may lead him to become one of the greatest managers in United States history and leave us to the United States soccer team. I think that's going to happen. I still believe he's going to be our manager one day. But look, we talked about this. I need to get some predictions from you guys. Who would you start, Marvin, for this game against Chelsea? And then just give us our not so bad, hopefully slightly close prediction of this game against Chelsea.
Okay. Obviously,
let's start with the starting lineup with who's going to be in the goal.
Lloris. Yeah, obviously Lloris, right?
Of course.
In defense, I would have Palencia, Long, Segura. I wish Chanot was up to par and up in form, but he's not, unfortunately. So I would go with Segura and Hollingshead. As much as I like Smolikov, I don't think this is the game to experiment. And midfield, obviously, I would do Tillman, Delgado, and Igor. Obviously, Tillman, I think, has been playing a lot better. He's been a lot more stable, giving the ball up less. I think he's doing a lot better, and you see a lot less criticism going around because I don't think people give him the credit that he deserves sometimes. But I think he's doing well. So I think he deserves a start over Amaya. And I was very hopeful on Amaya, and I think he's doing pretty good. But I expected a little more out of Maya, to be honest. But he's doing good. He's doing good. He's solid. But again, I would start Tillman. And then the offense, I would do Martinez on the right wing over Ordaz. And I would do striker. I would do Ibobasi and Buanga on the left wing. And then as a super sub, I would do Giroud and Ordaz.
Okay. Eric, anything different from this? I'll go back to you on the prediction, Marvin. But I want to hear if Eric would just change anything as far as the lineup goes.
Yeah. I'd go Lloris in goal. On the right would be Palencia. I think it's probably going to be Long and Segura. I could see it being Long and Marlin as well. Just to try to really. I think they're really going to try to bunker down this game. So I could see that, but I think it'll probably be Segura. The midfield, same midfield. It's going to be Delgado, Igor Tillman. That's been our front three. We haven't talked about them, but I like how Amaya has looked, and I think second half of the season we may see some differences with Amaya coming up, but it's too early right now for that. Up front, I think Martinez starts if he's healthy. I know he's in Venezuela. He's on the bench, so I assume he is. So I would like to see Martinez, Ordaz, and Bouanga. That's my opinion. That's been our best front three all season. If Martinez isn't quite up to it, maybe it's going to be Ordaz, Ebobisse, Bouanga starting with Giroud. I think Giroud's going to come off the bench in the 65th like he has been the whole time. And I agree with Edward that Giroud against Chelsea, it's he could shine. I think he probably will too. It's a matter of can we get him the ball? I think we're going to be chasing the ball a lot this game. I don't think we're going to have very much of the ball. And I think if you're chasing the ball, Giroud is one of the worst guys to have on the field.
Yeah, no, he's not the right guy, and I think there's been a fallacy with his tenure here. And it looks like we found a way for him to be productive, to put teams out. And he seems to be okay with that role because he realizes that it works and it's working, and he doesn't have to work as hard. He's still getting paid, right? So everybody kind of wins. It's a good thing. We're almost out of time here, guys. So we're gonna do our predictions on the game. Before I do our predictions, there was one more topic came in pretty late, and I added to the agenda, and I did not want to not talk about it, which is we just hired a new academy director, which it's been something that I've always felt LAFC still had work to do on. I can't even blame him because we've been so great in so many areas of it. So the development of young players outside of the LAFC 1 has not been great, and the youth system, if you may. So we hired this one cat out of the La Masia. I love the fact that he is Tony Hernandez, discúlpeme, academy director, Alex. And he's coming from La Masia, which would hopefully open some doors for us to continue to do what we've been doing with Barcelona and some of their players. Last question for you, Marvin, and I will also use this opportunity to thank you for being here. But good pickup for us. I like it. I think this is something we needed. Anything you want to talk about this pickup that we had?
No, yeah, I mean, absolutely, it's a great pickup, and the better the academy could do, the better for our LAFC senior team, obviously. So I think it's a great signing. Ordaz has been doing really well coming from the academy, and Dueñas was pretty good. I personally think we're struggling with the academy. We always have been. But at the same time, I understand that this team is really prioritizing wins. And so it gets a little tricky having a team like LAFC, for youth development, because it's really hard to sit down DPs and senior starters. And that's a large hill to climb for a 16, 17, 18-year-old. So unfortunately, the academy hasn't been to that level where we could start breaking in players a lot. Ordaz was the exception. And I think we all saw it when he was even like 14, 15 years old. We knew this kid was going to come up. And but hopefully he does a lot better, and we start seeing more of that youth come into our senior roster that really has that potential to come up. I know Drew Terry is probably one of those players, that's probably going to come up too.
Pretty good.
And I'm very hopeful about him as well. So hopefully we just see some more academy players really level up with him and then break into the senior.
That's cool. Eric, you brought this news to me, and I thought that was really good news. Anytime you're in the same news as La Masia, that's a good indicator. But anything you want to add to Marvin's comments on bringing in Tony Hernandez to join and lead our academy here at LAFC?
No, I think it's a great move. He spent 4 years as the academy director for La Masia. I think, that's basically, if I'm not mistaken, that's basically the best and most famous academy in the entire world for developing soccer players. So, you can do a lot worse. Basically, you could do worse anywhere you go other than that. So I think that's great. Marvin talked about Jude Terry. He's one I'm really excited about. I do think with the academy, we're kind of, I agree. And Ordaz, I didn't think Ordaz was going to break through until I saw him this preseason this year. And I saw that.
Yeah, we were both.
Oh, he gained
buddy.
like 30, 40 pounds of muscle and grew like 2 inches. And I'm like, he is all yoked up. Like, he looked like he just got out of the joint. So, yeah, when I saw that, I was like, okay, Ordaz, this is not the Ordaz we saw last year that's just coming in to kill off games and you're not putting in to chase a result. This is different. And so that's one. And the other thing I always remember is Jim Curtin at Philadelphia, who I would argue has built the most successful MLS academy in history. Dallas before that had a good academy, but Jim Curtin's up there, and he said it takes 10 years. An academy is a 10-year project before you will start to see results. Mm-hmm. And our academy, I believe, started in 2016. So it might have been 2015. So we're kind of getting close to that 10-year where we should start to see results. And I think Jude Terry, is going to be one of the – he has scored some bangers for LAFC too. Great vision and creativity for a midfielder. I am hopeful that he's going to see some first-team minutes before the season's done. So, and I think having him come here to help our academy is only going to do better for Jude Terry and our U14s and U13s coming up behind him, which are going to be the next guys, So, great move, super exciting.
It's exciting. You know what? I think maybe Leagues Cup, it would be good for a guy like Jude to pick up minutes. And it reminds me that I have to give out some tickets for Leagues Cup. So I appreciate you being here, but we have to give out some Leagues Cup tickets. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at the number of followers we have, and I'm going to randomly pick 3 numbers. And I want this to be broadcasted, so there's no question about what's going on here. And I'm going to follow in order, and I'm going to give those tickets to the first person. The first person doesn't reply, I'm going to give it to the second person. The second person doesn't reply, I'm going to give it to the third person. But I want to have 3 numbers before the end of our broadcast here today, so that we can give out these Mazlatan tickets for the Leagues Cup. So I appreciate you staying here real quick. We are at drum roll. Let's see how many followers, Eric. 164. Oh my God, this is crazy.
Killing
so what
it.
I'm gonna do is just gonna ask Siri here to give me a number between 1 and 164. Hopefully it's not myself, and that number is gonna be the winner. Actually, I'm gonna ask for 3, and I'm gonna flash it here. And those are gonna be the 3 winning numbers for Mazlatan tickets that we said that we were gonna give out earlier, like 2 weeks ago. We got too excited with Club America and I couldn't do it. So I appreciate you guys staying here because I still want your guys' prediction for this game. So let's just do the whole AI thing.
Mazatlan, home of Pacifico beer.
Hey Siri, give me 3 numbers between 1 and 164. It gave me like a wrong thing. Oh my God. Let's try again. Hold on. We get it right. This is why we do it live. I need 3 numbers between 1 and 164. Okay, it's not doing it. It's not going to work, guys. I tried. Eric, can you do it for me, buddy?
164.
Come on, do it. Yeah, Eric will do it because Eric is better than that. I mean,
it says 1 plus 164 equals 165.
That's what I got. This piece of garbage, man. Hold on. ChatGPT will do it for us. Here he goes. I'm doing a draw, and I need 3 random numbers between 1 and 164. Here we go.
All right.
I got one, Eric. Hold on. Here he goes.
I got a random number generator, too.
3 random numbers. 27, 94, and 143. So later on, I will announce the winners. We got the numbers here, 27, 94, and 143. Those are the winning numbers. And we're going to give a lot more stuff out. So please keep following us so that we can get those tickets out. Now, Marvin, to you, buddy. What do you think is going to happen for this game against Chelsea?
The score prediction?
Yeah, final prediction,
Oh,
win, loss.
I think we lose 3-0. I think it might be 4, but I'm hoping that we just don't get humiliated. I'm not hoping for a tie because it just feels like I'm just gonna let myself down. But I just hope we don't get humiliated over 3 goals.
Okay. So 3-0 would just not be too bad for you. It'll be like,
Yeah,
okay,
3-0,
we
I'd
try,
be
you know what I
okay.
mean?
You know, I wouldn't be like crying. Correct.
What was the team we lost to like 5-0 this season? What was it? We just got destroyed by.
It was somebody
Try to
terrible.
remember.
Was it like St. Louis or something?
It was just like some bad.
Oh my
team.
God, yeah.
We got just like shit housed by them.
I forgot. This has been wiped from my
Let's
memory. I don't even know.
Let's just hope that not happen, right, Eric? But just all right, Eric. Hit me with the best shot, baby. And maybe we'll do a live show during that game. But I want to know what's good. What do you think is going to happen for this?
I think it's going to be a 5-1 loss to Chelsea. And look, to get embarrassed by Chelsea, like I need to see 7 or more put up before I'm going to feel any because I have perspective.
You're gonna see. We're gonna talk about the high points.
David
of
won.
it. Oh yeah.
David won.
My daughter's like, "What's so funny about a 5-1 loss?" Well, you know,
honestly, I'd be shocked if we scored a goal. I would be so shocked. I'd be
so
ecstatic.
it's that good, huh?
Oh yeah.
You give too much respect to the EPL, and this is the problem with the Americans.
Ducardi's calling the 2-2 draw in the chat. All right.
I love this. Let's see what the people have to say before we get out of here. I know we went long today. I appreciate y'all's being here. My daughters are here, so that means I gotta go. You know.
Wait, no, Celso, you're predicting. What's your prediction, buddy?
Oh, I mean, I think LAFC is going to show up to this game and lose 2-3. It's going to be crazy, and we're going to show up.
I would be very happy with that.
Oh man, I will be pumped.
And we're going to give hopes that we're going to win. So, but I got to go as much as you all do. I want to thank Marvin for being here. You've been a great guest of our show. You will always welcome back.
Thank you. It was great having
you. Know what I mean? We're a very democratic place here. We don't really have any Twitter beef. And I appreciate you being authentic in the app because the app is a shit show, as you've known. So if you're there, you're basically saying I agree to the shit show. And I appreciate you being authentic there, like we all are. So
thank you, and thank you for this podcast. You know, I've been seeing it since episode 1, and you guys are doing an amazing job.
Thanks, man.
We're trying. I mean, we're horrible at the technical aspect of it, but we have fun, right, Eric?
Yeah,
and that's good. But yeah, happy Father's Day. You know what? This is why I started doing it. I started taking my daughters to the game. And I fell in love with the environment. You know, the story is very similar. Like Marvin said, we went into a place that did not look like Carson, did not feel like Carson. And LAFC never does feel like that. So, you know, some people were talking attendance for this tournament. And, you know, it's hard to create what we've have at the LAFC at BMO. So, you know, take note. You know, it's not easy to create culture. It's not easy to create environment. And LAFC leads that in all places. Thank you for being here. Stay strong out there. We are Los Angeles. This is Los Angeles. And we will continue next week. Always live at 6 p.m. on Mondays. Subscribe for more. And see you soon, baby. Let's go.
Take care.